Thanks for listening to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Emily.
And we're passionate about holistic wellness that real people with real lives can achieve.
We see you out there striving for perfection, but we want you to know that good enough can be good enough.
Before we get started, everything we talk about in this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Always talk to your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, medication, or supplements.
You're listening to episode 23, Navigating Family and Food Decisions. In this episode, we are going to try to thread the needle on how to talk to your family about your food decisions.
But before we jump in, have you checked out our free Patreon yet? You can find the link in the description at some of our show notes, resources, and community. We're working on building this out to have lots of bonus content, so get in there while it's still free. You can find our crunchy gift guide. You can find our live podcast that we did. What else is over there? We have an abundance printable and all kinds of fun stuff. So get on over there. So Kayla, what have you been nerding out about lately?
So this week, when we're recording this, we had one of our cows come fresh, and I got to witness the birth. I think it was my first birth that I've witnessed.
Really?
Like I've seen like the beginning or like the tail end of some of the births, but
Sure.
I think this is the first one that I've like witnessed start to finish, and it was so cool.
That's so cool.
But I felt really proud of myself because I got home from watching one of my nieces, and I was like, I should go out for a walk, but I don't want to go out for a walk. So I'll go out for a walk, and I'll go out and check on the cows, and I'll see how Mary is doing, because I know she was due soon, and I was like, I'll just go out and see how she's doing. So I walked out there, and I saw her, and she was like off from the rest of the cows, and she was kind of just acting kind of weird, and I was like, I think the baby is coming. So I walked back to the house, and I texted my sister-in-law, who's like the herd manager, and I was like, hey, I think Mary's about to have her baby. I said, I know I'm not a cow expert, but she just seems like it to me. I have a feeling. And she texted me back, and she was like, well, why do you have that feeling? Like, what exactly are you seeing? So I texted her this whole list of things. Like, it's just a bunch of little things. Like, I don't see feet, but I just kind of seems that way to me. And she was like, no, I think you're right. I'm coming down. So she came down, and I was like, well, come and get me before you head down, and I'll go out with you. So she came and got me. We went out there, and we walked out there, and wouldn't you know, there's toes.
Yeah.
Poking out.
Cute little hooves.
Yep. And she like got a rope on her and started leading her back up to the barn, and she started walking away from me, and I said, oh, I see a nose and a tongue.
Oh, wow.
And she
Go
was
Mary.
like, we gotta go. So I jumped in the gator and ran back to the barn and got the horses in, so that way the cows could come in, and we got her in our like calving pen, and when she got in that calving pen, she pushed a couple times, and then she laid down, and like 5 minutes later, she had that baby.
That's awesome. That's
So
fast.
It was very fast.
That's not her first.
No, this
Yeah.
was her third, but it was still like, I was like so proud of myself, because I was like, I knew it. I knew she was going to have a baby.
Honestly, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
I love that. My dad used to say, give them 2 weeks either way, and they'll still prove you wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Most of our cows are usually like pretty close to right on, but like this one I think was 2 days early. She was due today.
Okay.
And she had the baby 2 days ago.
Are
so.
you going to put a picture in show notes?
I should, yeah.
You should.
Her name
That'd
is
be awesome.
Belle.
Belle.
Because one of my nieces is all about Disney princesses right
Yes.
now, so.
That's adorable.
Her name is Belle.
I love it.
But
Congratulations.
thank you. We call her Baby Belle, like the cheese.
Oh my gosh. It gets cuter. Oh, but my favorite is our friend Elizabeth. She showed her son Lincoln, and Lincoln
Yes.
is 2?
Yeah.
He's 2. And he was like, I'm gonna carry that? I'm gonna pick that cow up
Yeah,
or
he's
something.
going to carry her around or something.
And she's like, oh, Lincoln, she's too big.
Oh, he's going to sit in his lap or something.
Yeah, she's like, oh, she's too big, honey. You can't do that. And he's like, I'm gonna ride her then.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, get it, kid.
Yeah.
Farm kid dreams.
I was going to say that's a very popular thought at the King farm. Gonna ride the cows.
I may have done that a time or
Oh,
two.
yeah.
Those big, wide 4-H steers.
Yes.
They've
They
been
just-
sat on.
So they look like you should sit on them.
Yes.
So Emily, what about you?
So I've been nerding out on all things homeschool as normal because that's the only thing that occupies my brain right now. Just not even out of choice, but for sheer survival.
Yeah.
But I stumbled across this amazing website that we're going to be using from here on out, and it's called past-pages.com. And on this website, it is so beautifully organized to have a topical index from, like, it's all history. So starting at the ancient world, going all the way up to the modern world, and each era has its own clickable link, and you click on those, and there's even more categories from there of things that are happening in that era, and it's all lists of books.
Oh, that's a great resource.
It's a fantastic resource, and I wish I'd found it sooner so I wasn't stumbling around quite so much with my book picks. But you click on these links, and they've got all the way from, like, they'll have like picture books to chapter books to nonfiction, for everything. Like, I just clicked on the unification and colonization era, so like 1836 to 1913, and there's a whole list of stuff that's going on in the world in that era. So if you do a lot of, like, literature-based history, which we do, this is an invaluable resource. Like, we're going to use this so much. So I'm going to go ahead and link that too, because I'm super excited to use it. The holidays are here. We just wrapped up Thanksgiving festivities. We're moving into Christmas. I'm sure there's some Hanukkah things going on. All kinds of different holidays in this time. So something that's difficult, I think, when it comes to the holidays is you're starting to see extended family. And that can be a challenge. It can be a challenge when you're a little bit weird, when you make a little bit different choices than other people. And even if you know, maybe you're just starting to make those choices too, it can be even more difficult.
Right.
As a wise woman likes to say, when you have a new hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yes.
Yes. So we just wanted to have a conversation back and forth here about your navigating family and your food decisions. This isn't so much about, like, oh, what are you going to put on your plate? If you want to have that conversation, you can go back to our food decision funnel. I think that's a little more accurate to that particular topic. But this is more about how you're going to navigate people questioning your choices, or maybe your family might require a little dietary differences for a period of time, how you're going to navigate that. So yeah, I think we're just going to have an open and honest conversation, and I think a point of honesty is that we have relatively easygoing families who, you know, we love each other and we get along pretty well.
Yeah.
So we probably don't have it as hard as a lot of people. So we do want to be upfront and honest about that. So take what you will from this and leave the rest. And as always, come into our comments. Let's have a conversation about struggles that you're having, and just keep the conversation flowing.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely wanted to acknowledge that at least my family is already pretty crunchy. So, like, if we go to my mom and we say, like, hey, we would like to see, I don't know, like, no seed oils in our cooking, she's like,
that woman,
already there. Like,
right, that one will go
like,
above and beyond.
Yeah. She's like, why would I have a seed oil in my kitchen?
Yes.
So,
exactly.
So it's like, we do want to acknowledge that these conversations would be a lot easier for us to have, at least with my side of the family, because, like, they're already really open to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I think probably the first thing that we want to talk about is that be open and honest. Don't be afraid to be open about your current food choices. For whatever reasons you're making them, we all have reasons for the food choices we make, and it's okay to have an honest conversation about, like, hey, like, we realize that little Johnny gets crazy when he has red food dye. Like, it's okay to be open and honest about these things. And while you're being open and honest, you definitely need to be honest with yourself. I think we all have, like, what is our, like, ideal way to eat.
Right.
And when you're, like, making holiday plans, you're writing down your detailed lists of dinners and stuff. It's easy to go into like your ideal mode. And sometimes that's just not feasible for large group gatherings and stuff. So you need to be honest with yourself about what is a need, what is, what are the deal breakers, and then what is just a preference. There are certain things that are preferences for us. Maybe it's the sweeteners we use, maybe it's the types of grains we consume. But at this time, like in our home, there really aren't a lot of like straight up deal breakers. Like we don't have any allergies currently. We don't have anything like that are like, we cannot consume this no matter what.
Right. Yeah.
So you need to be really honest with yourself that you're not just making everybody like bend to your current food whim.
Yeah.
I think if you are not new to the wellness space, you've probably accidentally done this before, and it's okay. We move on. We grow up. And I think while you're being open and honest about all this stuff, you need to assume the best about people. Like we said at the top, we both have families that are pretty game for things. They're pretty easygoing. And also, like, even if I build it up in my head that if I go, oh, we can't, like, I don't even know. See, we don't really have many food aversions. So before you start an argument in your head, you know, chances are your family and friends, they want the best for you and they want you to feel good. If there's something that's going to give you a migraine, they probably want to know about it because they don't want you cranky when you're opening presents. Like, they want you to feel good. They want the best for you, or at least they really should.
Yeah. It's like if you know that, you know, eating something with oatmeal is going to make you bloat or is going to make you, like, have diarrhea or something. Like, that's not something anybody wants you to have on Christmas morning.
Yes.
So, like, this is your permission to assume the best, that these people, they want you to feel good. Like, they love you, and like if you are able to just calmly say, hey, I've noticed that when I have oats, I get really bloated and then I end up with diarrhea. You know, can there at least be an option for me to not have something with oats in it? And I think a great way to do that is offer to bring something. Like, if you know that, you know, you don't do well with the ham option at Christmas dinner, say something like, hey, would it be all right if I cooked something else? Or is it all right if I bring this? Or how does everyone feel about turkey? You know, like... Yeah, this isn't the time to be dogmatic about what is at the party.
Right. It's a good time to be open and curious about what else can you add to it so that there's more options. Right. I find a crock pot of meatballs always is like the way to go.
It goes over really well.
It does. Yeah, and sometimes it's not even about like sugar or grains or like whatever, pick your poison, whatever you're worried about. Sometimes it's also about like building a balanced plate to get you through the whole celebration. So it's not just it's pretty normal when you're feeding a crowd of people that it's pretty carb heavy. It's like a good filler, like as far as budget goes. So offering to bring the protein or an additional protein is a great way to help make sure that you can build like a more balanced plate for you and for your kids, so that we're not having meltdowns in the middle of gift opening or whatever.
Yeah, I was picturing for this year for Christmas, my family is doing like brunch for Christmas Eve dinner.
So excited.
Yeah, we are so excited. But like I was picturing another family, if they were doing a brunch, like they might have like pancakes and waffles and all this stuff and maybe some scrambled eggs and bacon, which might not be enough protein for some people. And it's like, if you know that the menu is going to be pretty carb heavy, like just be aware of that and, you know, make sure that you bring yourself a little protein snack or offer to bring a protein dish to share. So that way, you know, you can balance out that high carb meal with some protein. So that way everyone feels their best. Like, like, you don't want everyone to be grumpy when you're opening presents. Like, there's gonna be enough crashing and drama and emotion without adding blood sugar dysregulation to the picture.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, this isn't just about, like your particular food preferences. This is
Right.
also about like just making sure we make it to the end of the
Yes.
celebration where everybody still likes each other and we're having fun.
Yeah.
I think it's really important all the time, but I think especially around the holidays to be cautious about how you're talking about food around your kids. It's a really popular time to be talking about going on a diet next week and stuff, and I don't know about you, but that's just something that I try to protect my kids from. If you need to have conversations with people about like, hey, like, we cannot do folic acid, that's usually a deal breaker
Right.
for us. Is like, we cannot do that right now. I prefer to have those conversations without my kids present. I think just leaving them out of it is just a really good
Yeah.
idea. I want them to have really fond memories around food around the
Right.
holidays and not stress about it. And we like to say, you've heard me say it before, I'll say it again. We like to say that, like, we do our best and Jesus will bless the rest.
Yeah.
Let's not make food a stressor for holidays, and especially not a stressor for your kids.
Right. One of my pet peeves is like when people are like trying to tell you something by telling their child something in front of you.
Ew.
Don't do that.
No.
Please do not do that, because it's like weaponizing your child and like using them to have a hard conversation with somebody that you just need to be an adult
Yes.
and have a hard conversation with somebody.
Well, too, and I think, like, kids are very black and white. Like, their world is very black and white. So you have to be so cautious not to take something like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't eat those crackers because, it's just not something that works for your body. You would be so careful about not, like, turning that into, well, Uncle Bob eats those because he doesn't care about his body. Like, that, we don't want to, like...
Crackers aren't morally bad.
Right. So we have to be just so cautious about how we approach that.
Right.
And sometimes you're in a season where, like, yeah, your kid can't eat those crackers. It's just not going to work. Let's find an alternative. But sometimes it needs to be you taking a deep breath and going, it's just one night.
We'll deal with the fallout.
Yep, it's just one night. We're going to do our best, and Jesus will bless the rest.
Yeah.
So thankfully, this isn't something we deal with in most of our family settings because I come from a dairy farming background, and as do you now.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be some family members. They're usually like your great aunt or something that's like, raw milk. Are you kidding me? Like,
That's so dangerous.
it's dangerous. Yeah, it's not just like, oh, it's unhealthy. It's like, oh, you're putting your kids in danger.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, Kayla?
Here's what I would do.
Oh, wait, we want the external, not the internal dialogue.
Yes. I think probably the easiest way to diffuse this that's still like setting a pretty firm boundary without being a jerk is just to say, like, I've done my research. I can send you some research articles that I've read if you're interested in that. Basically, like, explain to them you've done yours and they're welcome to do their own. Because they're probably just regurgitating whatever they've heard. And so, like, if you offer to say, like, you're welcome to take a look at the research. Like, this is how I've come to this conclusion. You can take a look at this and you can come to your own. Like, they might decide still that it's dangerous, but chances are they are...
They're probably not that invested to do the research.
They're not that invested. And by offering to send them research articles, you'll probably just diffuse the situation and they'll just be like, oh, well, whatever.
And they'll probably never want to, like, attack you about your food ever
Exactly.
again. And here's your reminder that you're not the food police.
No.
You're not Jiminy Cricket for everybody at your at your family gathering. You don't need to promote what you're eating or tell them how much better it is. If you want to have a conversation, if they're asking you questions, great. I love a good nerdy conversation, but it's not your job.
Nope. You can make a decision for you and it just be for you.
So I think it'd be really fun to talk a little bit about like some holiday foods that maybe some things that are like part of our childhood that are like
Terrible for you?
I don't want to go that far, but yeah, they're maybe not your everyday choice things, but like this is so ingrained in your holiday that like you're going to eat it and you're going to enjoy it, and it's okay because you eat it once or twice a year, and like it's fantastic. So I kind of want to talk about that, and then I'd also like to talk about like what are things that you do now as like an adult who's into wellness, that you're like, I can't wait to bring this cool thing to my family gathering because everybody's gonna love it, but also I feel like I'm nourishing my family at the same time.
Yeah, that's a great conversation.
I'm trying to think of something that like I would eat.
I think for me, the food that is like a Christmas tradition for us that probably is not that great is white salad.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. It's definitely not my thing, but it's your family thing. I don't understand it.
It's the most weird thing in the world. It's marshmallows and heavy cream and grapes and pineapple and scrambled egg, and it's so weird, but it's so good. And it's like, it's very nostalgic because it was something that my grandmother made, and she passed away tragically lots of years ago when I was a baby. Not quite a baby, but very young. And so like we can't go a holiday without white salad.
Yeah,
it's
I don't even eat it. I'm sure I've tried it. It's not my cup of tea. I think it's a nostalgia thing. But I think I would feel weird if it wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's such this like legendary thing at your house, and I love that.
And I suppose it probably could be healthy. Like if we used raw cream and homemade marshmallows.
That would be crazy.
And it's just like eggs and grapes and pineapple. Those things are good for you.
It could be healthy.
I'm like, I don't think it's really that unhealthy. It's just like
it's just weird
thing that is like our Christmas tradition thing.
Yeah, I love that. I don't. My family's pretty notoriously anti-tradition. Like we do something different every year, like different themes. We've done Mexican. We've done. I think this year they've decided we're doing Asian. We do all kinds of different things. The low key, the goal seems to be to get my grandma to be like, oh, that's different.
Which is her nice way of saying, y'all are weird.
Yeah, she loves us though. But we were a huge Christmas cookie house. So we would spend all of December baking cookies. Like I'm telling you, a different kind every night. And they would get put in Tupperware, and then we'd run out of freezer space. So they'd get like stacked in the attic stairwell because it was cold. And like we were the people who had these beautiful Christmas cookie trays.
Yeah.
And it's like a big thing with my extended family too. So like when you go to like Christmas with the Mailers, there are beautiful Christmas cookie trays, like entire tables of these trays. I don't know if I don't think it's a German thing. I think it's like a Southern PA thing. Like if you attend a wedding down there, they have a cookie table.
I've heard that like PA is like a wedding cookie.
Yeah.
Like, they don't do that anywhere else. And I was like, oh, they don't?
Yeah.
Like,
what a tragedy.
Cookie tables at weddings is like, you have to have a cookie table at your wedding.
Yeah. Yes.
In PA.
Right. Yes. So it's like, I will eat as many Christmas cookies as strike my fancy. And I don't mean I'm gonna like make myself sick, although I might, you never know. That's not my goal. It's just, I'm not gonna say like, okay, I can have one cookie or I can have two cookies. And like, no, if I feel like having another cookie, I'm gonna have another cookie.
Yep.
It is Christmas time, and like these are the traditions that like make up my childhood.
Right.
So Christmas cookies are like a huge deal. Now let's think of something that like we're fortunate enough to be in-laws, so we're going to the same Christmas brunch and we're really excited about it. One thing that I wanted to talk about that we're doing this year, it's like our new tradition we're trying to start, is we're doing mocktails. And me and you and our other sister Katie are all coming up with like our own signature mocktail.
Yep.
To present to the family on Christmas Eve, and I'm so excited about it. And like it originally started as a like, well, let's do it would be so fun to do a cocktail. And we're like, oh, none of us really drink that much.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do mocktails. And it's like, we should do something that kind of resembles like a adrenal cocktail.
Yeah.
So that like when we're all like sugared out and like wired, we can have something to like calm our adrenals.
Right.
So I'm really excited I'm going to do something kind of spicy, but it's a surprise. So I'm not going to talk about it too much.
Can't talk about it.
But I know we were texting back and forth the other day and we're like, what about this? What about this? We're so excited. Doesn't they have fancy ice cube trays? It's going to be the best. So I'm really excited about that. Just a good way to like help hydrate during your holiday celebrations. It's going to be awesome.
I've already started testing mine because I'm like, I have to dial this in before Christmas. So that
I'm
way
so
it's
excited.
perfect. Yeah, it's really exciting.
Do you have anything else that you want to add? I feel like we lean towards real food. So like we're going to have French toast there, but it's going to be real food. Like we're going to have whipped cream there, but you're like bringing raw cream. Like we really don't do anything. I say this all the time. Oh, we don't eat that weird. But I don't know if you saw our Instagram. I had like a cow tongue that we had the other day. So like, I don't know. We just eat food.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do like hot chocolate, but it's like raw milk and
like,
maple syrup.
We
and
are
cacao.
weird.
We
just
are
don't
weird.
know how weird we are.
We really are, though. But I really want to hear from other people. Like, what are your traditional foods that you have? Like, I want to hear both this is like what I'm having. I don't care that it's like
your deal breaker on either direction.
Yeah.
I'm going to have this no matter how terrible it is, and I won't eat this.
Yeah.
No matter what.
That's a good one. Yeah, let's hear your deal breakers. This is going to be a fun conversation. Before you go, don't forget to join our free Patreon community. Leave a rating or review on your podcast player and share with your friends, family, and like-minded community. Let's get the word out there. So, Kayla, what's good this week?
What's good this week is I don't really ever talk about this because I'm honestly maybe a little embarrassed by it still, and I've never been into it. So, like, talking about it now just feels weird. But I've recently, like, started reading and listening to some, like, romance novels, and they're not super spicy ones, but I don't know. It, like, I've never really been into it, but for some reason recently I've just been enjoying it. And so I am almost done with this book, and I really enjoyed it. I think it just made me feel so cozy and warm, and I wanted to share it with all of you. It's called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. And I know, like, witches can be kind of a controversial subject. It's not really, like, witchcraft so much as, like, it's like a Disney princess movie with a witch in it. Like, it's, like, fairy godmother kind of witchy.
Like,
And
The Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Type witches.
Yeah. So it's like very innocuous kind of witchy, and it's like a very, very sweet story about this woman who feels like she doesn't have a place in the world, and it's found family, and you know, like hijinks ensue kind of thing. It's
love that.
Very sweet. It's so cozy. Like it made me want to cuddle up with a cup of coffee and brew a potion in a cauldron.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Like, it just felt so cozy. Like,
I love that. Give me all the cozy romance mystery novels.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite.
So I'm almost done with it, and I have high hopes that the end will be just as good as the beginning. It is a romance novel, so there is a little spice, but it's not super spicy. Probably like half open door kind of scenes. And so far there's only been one, so it's not even like super overwhelming or anything like that. So it's called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by, I'm going to butcher this name, but it's Sungyu Mandana.
It's going on my to-be-read list.
Yes.
I'm excited.
It's so good.
You've been holding out on me.
I was holding out. So Emily, what about you? What's good this week?
So this week we went to it's a homeschool skate day at our local skating rink. And what's so good about this is the same skating rink. It's changed hands a couple of times, but this is the same skating rink that I used to go to homeschool skates at.
Oh, that's fun.
And it was so fun to like take our kids to like something that we like did for fun. I don't know. It's so crazy. It felt really full circle. And the crazy thing is, to me, is like, this place was packed. There
Oh.
were so many people there. Like,
That's
when we used
awesome.
to go, it would be like us and like another family or two.
Right.
Like, there really weren't many, which was kind of awesome, to be honest with you. But to see so many homeschoolers getting together, and it was really awesome. I do have kind of a funny story about it, though, and I don't mean this as shade to the skating rink at all, because I think it's awesome that they're providing, like, homeschool opportunities and stuff. We, like, as a homeschool community, we really appreciate it. We appreciate it being not during, or, like, during school hours, so, like, we can
Right.
take advantage of that. We appreciate the pricing very much. But another friend of mine was telling me, she's like, yeah, we got together for the first homeschool skate, and like the owner was talking to us, and she was just like, yeah, man, like, I just want to like provide these services for homeschoolers. Like, I know they don't get to get out much and like all this stuff. Oh my gosh, I laughed so hard. They're just like, wait, what? Like, we think you're mistaken. And then another friend of mine was like, well, I gotta get home, gotta go put my kids back in their cages.
Don't get out much.
It was like, oh, friend, the irony of calling it homeschool when you're never home is just beyond me. I don't know. But again, no shade. Like, I understand there's a lot of misconceptions, and
Yeah.
that's fine. That's understandable if it's something new to you. But we appreciate that they're like, hey, we know
wanna
this
help
is
the homeschoolers
right,
get
this
out
sounds like
some.
it's a problem, and instead of complaining about it, we're gonna like help out. So I
Yeah.
thought, like, I love their spirit behind it, but it did give us a good chuckle. But if you are local to me, please reach out. I'll hook you up with Homeschool Skate. It's I'm gonna forget the new name of it. I will insert in the show notes it's changed hands a bunch of times. It was
Yeah.
Evans Skateland, and then it was Presque Isle Skate for a little while, and I think it's Gem City Skate now. But I will link to their Facebook page in the show
Awesome.
notes. So thank you for listening to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast.
To learn more about my one-on-one packages, join my mailing list and follow me on Instagram at Kayla King Wellness.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Good Enough Wellness podcast feed wherever you listen to podcasts. You don't want to miss an episode.
Follow us on Instagram at Good Enough Wellness Podcast to learn about upcoming episodes and join our free Patreon to interact with the Good Enough community.
The Good Enough Wellness podcast, because good enough can be good enough.
Well, that's good enough for me.
Me too.